I want to talk to you today about the power of connection through common purpose, based on my experience as a woodcarver. I'm a design technology teacher and have been teaching here at King Alfred's for over 11 years. I've been very lucky that this has been the only place that I've taught, as before this, I was a cabinet maker and a furniture designer. But how did I become a woodcarver? Well, what are you doing in a couple of weekends' time, my wife Annabelle asked me. Not much, I don't think. Why? It turns out that she'd been pushing the pram in the local park when a fellow pram pusher had asked her, do you know anyone round here who might do woodcarving courses? And she said, yes, my husband. And that's where it started. I knew nothing about woodcarving at the time, but I was a cabinet maker, and so I had lots of access to raw materials. So after a couple of weeks of really intense training, I had the first course in the park with a group of 10-year-olds, including my son Bruno. Since then, we've moved into the garden at home, and a whole range of different people have come through the gates, making an amazing array of beautiful objects, from butter knives to wooden spoons, fiddlesticks, and even one knit comb. Don't ask. One thing that's common about all the groups that come in is the energy that's created during the sessions. There's a real sense of meditation that's achieved by everyone, no matter what their age. When I start to talk about the process, the reaction is always the same, a mixture of exhilaration, fear, and disbelief. Exhilaration that they're going to be using these razor-sharp tools, leading to fear, help, am I going to cut myself? And finally, disbelief, is this guy really going to let me use these knives? As you'd expect, there's an amount of talk about the safety rules that we have, both behavioural and also practical. And we spend a bit of the time at the beginning of each session discussing these. And it's the laying down of these rules that sets the tone for the project later on, allowing for full engagement of everybody in the carving and starting to get people into this subconscious state of flow. We start with the behavioural part. It's all about looking after yourself, but also about looking after other people. We have this concept of the blood circle, or as one small person said the other day, the death bubble, which outlines the area around you where you personally will be carving. We say it's all right to get up and walk around. We're not at school after all. But if you do, and you're going to walk into somebody else's blood circle, just say to them, please, would you mind stop carving as you pass? We then have the more practical safety rules, which are very brief. In fact, we only have two. Always carve away from yourself, and always keep your hands behind the blade. Once everybody understands this, I say that if you follow these rules, you will stay safe. And what this does is remove any sense of fear that people may have and allows people to engage fully in both the carving and the conversation that ensues. This isn't a traditional teaching space, and I say that although I'm a teacher by profession, I'm not being one of those today. People can do as much or as little as they want to do. They don't have to finish a project. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'll help them get to where they want to get to. As such, there's no feeling of judgment at the end of the day. I have to tell you about one particular group of people. We had a group with 3 friends who were 10 years old, 2 trainee medics who were in their mid-20s, a lawyer who came just because she wanted to learn a new skill, and a retired lung surgeon who was 80, called Duncan. I have to say that at the beginning I was a little worried about the social dynamic of this group, but it very quickly became clear that they were just entering into a conversation, not being pestered or worried or bored by anybody else, simply enjoying the conversation, which lasted over 2 hours and ranged from anything from Star Wars to how the lungs work. I got a message from Duncan the following week, and he said how much he'd enjoyed the session, partly because he'd found a new hobby, but more importantly for him, how much he'd learned from his fellow carvers. When families come, I make it very clear that the adult is not the educator. Both the parent and the child are on the same level. They're both learners. We had one session that was going particularly well, a group of 12-year-old boys, until the father of one of the boys arrived. He sat down next to his son and started telling him what to do. Within 3 minutes, we had the one and only injury of the day. And yes, it was the father who'd cut himself. Attendees are always amazed by how much they get done and how quickly the time goes. The pieces that are produced are always original, always very, very personal, and often very uncharacteristically organic. Sometimes very random, the shapes that we produce. The people who come and who carve are always very proud of what they achieved and often very surprised. So as they leave, with a beautifully sanded oil piece wrapped in a linen rag, they have a huge sense of achievement. But more importantly, they have an amazing feeling of connection with other people through their common purpose. Thank you.